Hey guys, it's Dylan and I'm back with a review on the Rakk Apiq.2, which is the second rendition of their Rakk Apiq, which was one of the very first keyboards that they released along with the Rakk mat. So I've been enjoying this for about a week now and I have neutral feelings about it, but nonetheless, it's time for a review. So before the review starts, this is a full disclosure that this keyboard was sent by ECPC or Rack Gears, but nonetheless, this review will be unbiased and everything that I say will be coming from my own opinion, uh, from the perspective of me, which is a mechanical keyboard enthusiast as well as a PC gear enthusiast. Now that that's out of the way, let's start with the review. First of all, it comes in a black packaging and with its feature printed on it. And now inside the box, you have the keyboard itself, the key switch puller, as well as the keycap puller. Now mine didn't come with any manual, so I was assuming that this was because my copy was a review unit, but it turns out that it was actually printed in the box, that the only thing that this keyboard comes with is the silicone cover, the key switch puller, as well as the keycap puller. On the keyboard itself, you will immediately notice the silicone cover that comes pre-attached. It's a perfect fit for the keyboard, which is reassuring that if ever you spill any kind of liquid, there will be little to zero chance for your electronic parts to get wet. This one will also help avoid any dust buildup inside the switches. The build on this is really great. It stands well against my flex test. The top of the keyboard is made out of aluminum. When you take out the silicone cover, you'll notice that it's glossy, so that's one thing to take note in case you want to remove the cover. Inevitably, you will notice your fingerprint marks if you do. At the bottom of the keyboard, you have a matte plastic as well as two flip-out feet. Now, it's funny how usually budget mechanical keyboards have a brushed finish or a matte finish aluminum at the top plate, and at the bottom they have a glossy plastic. But this one is the opposite. This one has glossy plastic on the top and a matte finish at the bottom. Putting that aside, the frame is one of my favorites among all of the budget mechanical keyboards I know. It doesn't have any gamery aesthetic to it. It's just really simple, which is a big plus for a minimalist like me. And in case I want to type at an angle, I can always flip out the feet on this keyboard. I also like the key indicators at the upper right corner, just a simple red LED. And when you put on the cover, it has a triangular emboss to it. When all of the keys are turned on, you can see the indicators also light up and then overlap with the red LED when you toggle a key. At the top of the arrow keys, you also have the Rakk logo. The keycaps are, as always, double-shot ABS keycaps, and these types of keycaps are now a standard for budget mechanical keyboards. This keyboard comes in an ANS.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fed up.
I layout, which basically it looks like this. And the counterpart for that is the ISO layout, which basically looks like this. And when you want to take a look at the both of this, here's a side-by-side picture. And also you have your gamery font as well. Sadly, these are also becoming a standard among budget mechanical keyboards. And surprisingly, as you can see, there are no multimedia functions on this keyboard, which for me is somewhat of a big deal because I usually use the next track or previous track functions, and as well as the volume up and down when I'm listening to music on Spotify, either when I'm like doing some productive work, and even when I'm gaming, I tend to like adjust the volume quite often. You can also see that there are no legends for the lighting configurations on this keyboard. On their previous model, it's usually located on these keys, and they still are actually. It's just that it's not labeled. So when you press function plus scroll lock, it will toggle a snake effect. Function plus insert key toggles a wave effect. Function plus home toggles a breathing effect. Function plus page up toggles a ripple effect. Function plus delete key toggles a static lighting. Function plus 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 at the top of the QWERTY keys is 5 pre-configured custom key lighting. And when you press function and the end key 2 times, the LED at the top starts blinking and you can create your own custom lighting that's saved to function plus 6. Function plus page down toggles a reactive typing. Function plus Windows key locks the Windows key. Function plus up or down key adjusts the intensity. Function plus left or right key adjusts the animation speed. And because of this, I'm quite disappointed. I know that it's a budget mechanical keyboard, but other budget mechanical keyboards has a means of instruction to the user on how they can toggle the different lighting effects that it has built in. And other than that, other budget mechanical keyboards also have their own set of multimedia functions. By now, you should have noticed that the lighting isn't uniform. It has a different color each row. I also feel a bit disappointed about this because I am not a big fan of per row lighting. I'd rather be stuck with one color on all switches rather than having to deal with different colors for each row. So aside from Christmas season, what should I be using this random lighting for, this per row lighting for? I honestly don't like this type of lighting setup, so what I usually do is I just turn off everything, every key lighting, and just turn on the home keys. You might also want to take note that although this has a floating keycap design, it might not be as bright because of the silicone cover. So if you want to sacrifice protection for style, then you can remove the cover. The switches that comes along with this keyboard are the Ultimo Blue switches. For those new to the mechanical keyboard scene, what this basically means is that once the press of a keyboard registers to the computer, you will feel a tactile bump and hear a click coming from the switch itself. So in general, blue switches are usually known to be clicky and loud. So here's a quick sound test. The keyboard switches are actually modular, and that means when one dies, you can actually replace that one with another Ultimo Blue switch. Or even you can remove everything and switch it up with all brown switches from a manufacturer of your choice, if that's your thing. Now, the only problem that you'll be running into this is that there aren't many key switches seller in the Philippines. There are internationally on online stores, but the thing is, it would take so long for it to arrive here in the Philippines, and also it would also like you have to like pay for the customs if ever there is. So in conclusion, the things that you will get out of this 1,500 priced keyboard are this. For the cons, number one is you have no multimedia functions. So if that matters to you, you might want to take a look at that, because personally I find myself pressing function plus F5 or F7 just to like switch to the next track when I'm playing Spotify in the background. And number two is that they're horrible keyboard lighting. I mean, it feels great, the keyboard feels great, the build quality is awesome. The gamery font, that's another con, but it doesn't really matter to me because it's a budget keyboard. It's just that the lighting itself is making the keyboard look cheap. It has great switches, it has great build, but when it comes to lighting, there's just like I said, I wish they had the option like on the Rakk MUA, where on checkout they can actually select which color they want on their keyboard rather than like giving us a little bit of everything, which in turn makes it look horrible. So here's the pros for the keyboard. Number one is their silicone cover, and I really like this because in case I'm going to spill some liquid on my keyboard, then I don't have to worry because it's a really perfect fit. And aside from that, I won't get any dust inside my key switches, meaning if I have to do some maintenance work, I can actually just remove all the keycaps from my keyboard, get the silicone cover, and dust it off. And modular switches, and I like this feature because most of the time there will always be one that fails. So if there is one that fails, I can actually just swap it out. And lastly, for 1,500 pesos, you are getting a full-sized keyboard. Now, the last time I searched, all keyboards at this price range are basically TKL or the Aegis AK33, which is basically a 75% keyboard. I mean, in the market, there is actually a competition around this price point. You have the Red Dragon series, some Aegis AK33, but I've noticed that all of them are TKL. So I guess that's a personal taste that you have to consider. So if you want a full-size mechanical keyboard, get the Rakk Apiq.2. But if you want a TKL version or even smaller, you might want to take a look at the other brands. So that's basically the end of this review, and if you like the content, please subscribe, and if you like this video, leave a thumbs up. And if you're into travel films, I'm just putting this in here, if you're into filmmaking and travel films, I also have a second channel which is gonna be somewhere or maybe in the description box down below. Check it out if you want to subscribe to that channel as well. And as always, it's Dylan, and see you on the next video.